guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, I'm going to go over a very entertaining email I was sent from a subscriber. This is a guy, I guess he's in his early 30s, ex-military, and he's happily married, one of the few. And he shares his story, how he was able to have the last laugh like a decade and a half later after getting his heart broken by his first love. In this guy's story, you're going to see how he met his first girlfriend, first love in high school. And like a lot of guys out there, whether you want to admit it or not, all y'all were pretty much the giant SIMPSs back then, as I was multiple times, and made a lot of mistakes. And this guy was no different. And to no surprise, he picked the wrong girl, or she picked him, turned her off, and she did him wrong in many ways that I'm not going to mention right here. You'll see in real time. However, guys, father time always strikes. And let me tell you, later on in life, when this guy runs into her, father time hasn't been too nice to her, as it usually happens. Hint, hint, hitting the wall. And I'll be going to go over here for all you guys out there that maybe are kicking yourself or acting like a giant SIMP at times, making mistakes. Don't worry about it. We all make mistakes, and we all can learn from them. A lot of you guys, a lot of times getting burned really badly and hurt, that really becomes your big R-pill moment to really help you go down a different path in life and be all the happier and wiser for it. And of course, as many of you are well aware, eventually you always have the last laugh. Just give it time, because people that are a-holes will screw up and justice will be served. So it starts off, says here, good evening, SSM. I've written in a few times before, and recently a couple of your listeners asked for more details about a comment I made regarding an ex. It's a wild story from my late teens, one that ended up shaping the man I would eventually become. Right here. So even though you made mistakes and you were hurting, it helped put you on the path to where you want to be. So that's a good thing. He breaks this down into sections. He says, okay, number one, the beginning. When I was 16 years old, I was just a goofy kid. My priorities were simple: make friends and make my parents proud. I wouldn't have admitted it at the time, but it was true. I think you're leaving out getting laid, dude. Let's be honest here. I'm 47, but I know what it's like to be 16. One day, a friend told me that an 18-year-old gal named Sarah liked me and encouraged us to start dating. I was hesitant. I had no confidence back then and zero idea how to talk to women. But Sarah was persistent, broke through my awkwardness, and we eventually started dating. So much for your priorities were just you're making friends and making your parents proud. The second some older girl shows interest, boom. Well, things escalated very quickly. The relationship got physical fast. She was the aggressive one, and I was clueless. But after a few months, I started figuring things out, or at least as much as any teenager can. Dude, you had a very aggressive, promiscuous girl who's 2 years older than you. That's the time when it's serious street credit for getting an older girl. It's later in life that's like, oh, hell no. But when you're 16 years old, 18-year-old girl, 2 years is a big deal when you're 16 with an older girl. The problem is that that girl vastly more experienced and knows how to mess with your mind. Falling hard, part 2. He says here, well, I fell in love fast and hard. No emotional armor, no hesitation. I told her I loved her every single day. Smack. Bro, I know you know now not to do that, but guys, if you're listening, for goodness sake, what is that going to do? That is like, right, that's rookie shit. That just tells her, man, I got all the power of this guy. He's telling me he loves me every day. That's some crap you learn from watching rom-coms. Never do that. Well, I wanted to marry her. I pictured having kids together. Oh, for goodness sake. She was attractive, and our physical connection was constant. I was so deep in it, I couldn't think straight. Well, dude, as you're about to find out, you aren't the only one deep in it. My parents hated her guts. They told me outright that I was dating someone they considered promiscuous. Well, you should have listened to your parents. But nope. I know better. You don't know her, Mom and Dad. Again, what happened to the part about making your parents proud? Until some pussy came around, then all of a sudden that went to the wayside. Well, I defended her relentlessly, but deep down I ignored a lot of red flags. As we all did when it was some easy ass coming our way. She was too experienced for someone her age, and I was too naive to ask why. I don't think you cared if you were getting hoo-ha on command, you're like, hey, whatever. Well, thus began the toxic cycle. Our relationship was chaos. Every time one issue got resolved, another would appear out of nowhere. I was always the one trying to fix things. While she seemed to create more problems, it was draining, but I loved her, so I kept going. Smack! Sound familiar? Drama, drama, drama. Except instead of like this girl liking to see it from afar, she likes to create it. And you heard what he said. When one issue is resolved, on to the next one. We got a hot crazy scale going on here type of thing. Yeah, and by the way, gentlemen, you're going to see this dude as a type. Hint, hint, hot crazy. It's not worth it, man, but you know what? Back then, again, you were young, you didn't know any better, and you were in love. She had always had complaints. What? A young woman with complaints? No. She would say that I wasn't romantic enough, I didn't compliment her enough, I wasn't emotionally open enough, and we even had too much sex. There was always something wrong. Didn't you just say you were telling you loved her every day? That wasn't enough romance for her? What, you want fucking flowers every day with your love? Well, over time, I noticed a disturbing pattern with her. When she drank, she got extremely S-word aggressive. Not in a seductive way, but in a sloppy, desperate way. It really turned me off. Oh, great. The breaking point. Well, one night, she went to a party with coworkers without me. Uh-oh. Is this the same girl that loses it when she drinks? The next day, she was overly affectionate and acted strangely upbeat, like someone told her to act normal with me, but she was too nervous to pull it off. Soon after, my best friend called me up and told me that she got drunk at the party and had a, wait for it, foursome with her coworkers. Remember what your parents said about promiscuous and all that, and her drinking? Oh, great. What a great girlfriend. Oh, and by the way, I forgot to mention earlier, probably she hooked up with you really, really quick when you first started dating. That ain't girlfriend material. I was absolutely crushed. At that point in my life, I didn't know how to love with restraint. The pain was physical, and I felt it in my chest for weeks. Dude, we've all been there. Well, most of us. Most of us have been hurt, broken up with, cheating on. It really hurts. But that goes to a whole new level. Dude, you should have ended it with her the second. Well, frankly, you should have never gotten a relationship with her. And the second she started all her drama, you definitely should have dumped her. Look what it brought you. But at least you became R-pilled. I was absolutely crushed. I read that part. When I confronted her, she casually said it was grape. So it's not cheating. Oh, for goodness sake. If it was grape, then guess what would have happened? She would have called the police. I didn't hear anything about the cops showing up here. I was still a kid back then, but even I knew something felt off. She didn't act like someone who had been had bad things happen to her. She never quit her job. She never expressed fear of trauma. I remembered how she was when she got drunk, and everything about this story did not add up. Well, all grounds to kick her to the curb and never look back. Still, I was immature and emotionally broken. My response? I kept sleeping with her a few more times, and then I cut ties for good. Smack! Young brother, I mean, I know you know now this was dumb, but my God, you could have caught something from the foursome. Chad, Tyrone, Julio, and who else? Chun-Li. It's the first Asian name I could think of from like the villain from Bloodsport, but you got lucky. Next up, 4 years of being an a-hole. After that relationship, something in me changed for the worse. You mean you became R-pilled? Obviously, he's broken up with her at this point. Well, in college, I became a completely different person. Cold, bitter, and emotionally detached. I used and cheated on women regularly. Smack! I got no problem with you hooking up with chicks and having them disposable, like Kleenex. I got a problem. You actually had a girlfriend, you're cheating on her, and she was good to you. Not cool. But you were messed up. My friend would bring home a new girl every week. I couldn't be bothered. I just stayed with one and cheat as much as possible. I didn't care. I saw women as disposable. I was angry and damaged. I get that you're angry. I get you're damaged. And again, I got no problem with you using them like they're disposable because they did with us. But don't cheat. Because you probably had a couple ones that were like good girlfriends. I'm benefit of the doubt here. They didn't deserve that. Well, eventually, I dated someone who had even more baggage than I did. She was hot, bisexual, open to three ways, and completely insane. What I tell you, you clearly had it tight back then. He says the SEX was incredible. Honestly, she was a 17 out of 10. But the relationship came with keyed cars, broken windows, and holes punched in the walls. It's not worth it, man. I know you know this now, but a big chunk of the people watching this right now, including me, at the least once had dated or had a girlfriend that definitely was on the hot crazy scale. And because of the pussy, we endured the crazy. Good God. It's not worth it because the fucking is only a small part of the relationship. But tell that to a guy who's 22 years old or 21 or whatever. It didn't just end in flames. It was an inferno. When it finally collapsed, I remember lying in bed thinking one night, I think I'm done screwing around. Yeah, it's time to get your life together. Well, naturally, I slept with her a few dozen more times before walking away for good. I had a serious weakness for women who were talented in bed, even when they were absolutely toxic. Well, you sound like a chick. The girls that are addicted to the bad boys and the drama, right? Really no different. Well, fast forward 14 years. At that point, I'm a married veteran right now. I packed on several pounds of muscle, and I still am at a 10% body fat, and married an absolute smoke show, blessed in every department and pure of heart. Hang on, cowboy. Nobody's pure of heart in this world. She can be close to being pure of heart, but not totally. I've been doing this too long. I've lived too long. She's an angel who keeps me grounded and helps me maintain my morality. Not easy. 16-year-old me would be proud. Well, bro, I'm glad you're married to a woman that really makes you happy and is great on all fronts. That's cool. But nobody is pure as snow or whatever the fuck it is. Well, one afternoon, I'm out to lunch with my wife and my parents. And who walks up to us as a waitress? I don't know. Who could it be? Sarah. Remember Sarah's the beginning with Sarah the foursome girl? Well, she's gained at least 150 pounds and is barely recognizable. She's waddling around taking orders, and when our eyes meet, I can see the shock in her face. She's probably like, oh my God, I look so fat. When our eyes met, I could see the shock in her face. I read that. She recognizes me too. Even though I'm nothing like I used to be, the insecure teenager had joined the military, buzzed his head, and spent a decade comparing himself to the hardest men in the room. The shock fades away, and she nearly runs from the table. A few minutes later, a new waitress takes over, and my parents point her out and say, that's his ex. Your wife was probably like, what the hell? You fucked that? My wife raises an eyebrow, and I just said, hey, she didn't always look like that. My wife smirks, my parents laugh, and we move on with our day. Dude, that's funny. I have exes that, not that huge, but definitely don't look like they used to. Man, I'm a quick story here, because this does happen. Kid you not, 10 to 15 years ago, I can't remember what it was, I was visiting my parents in my old small town. Brought my girlfriend with me. We went out for breakfast, like on a Saturday or something like that, late in the morning. Nice eatery in town. It's a small town. I'm sitting there having breakfast, and I look over at the table. There's some people there, half full, and I see this young gal, about my age, I guess, early 30s, kind of looking my way like she knew me, but I didn't recognize her, and she was huge. Well, as time went on, I'm thinking, I know this chick. Well, as it turns out, I did know this chick. This was a girl that was dating my buddy in high school. We were seniors, and she was a sophomore. She was in the same grade as my sister. My sister and her were friends. And she was this cute little petite Italian girl back then, really cute. I'd say she was an 8. And there was always drama with her and my buddy and everything, and eventually broke up with her. It was her, and she was fucking huge, and it was just such a sad thing to see. And I could see her listening in the conversation. She recognized me before I recognized her, but we didn't talk, because she and I always got along well. But it was like, holy crap! It's like she has been overeating fucking ziti and lasagna for like 15 years after she graduated high school. But yeah, it happens. Anyhow, there's my story. It happens. Reflection. He says, later I looked her up online. She's a single mom now. Of course. I guarantee you she doesn't know who daddy is. I remember how much she once hurt me, but at this point, you couldn't pay me $1 million to even talk to her. Funny how time rearranges the hierarchy of things. Thanks for listening to me, SSM. Damn, dude, that's some good payback. Just took one look at her. It's like, holy Jabba the Hutt. But I don't know, man. I would take $1 million to sit at a table and talk to some of my crazy exes from like high school and college. I mean, $1 million, I can I'll listen to those bitches for an hour, and then I'd have all this material to do all these videos on. You guys would love it. So, but I'm a greedy son of a bitch. I'm money hungry, but that's just me. But anyhow, bro, good for you. I mean, hey, you screwed up in high school. Most of us were dumbasses with our first love and the first girl giving it up to us and everything like that. And you learn the hard way, and that was really the hard way. But I'm glad you got your shit together and you're with a woman that you're happy with and you have a good marriage and all that. And I'm sure after being R-pilled so badly at an early age, you're never going to change. And keep doing what you've been doing. You're going to be good to go. But I bet your wife was probably like cracking up when she saw that fat bitch in the fucking diner or whatever it was, your ex Sarah. And then guess what? You probably had to sit down and explain the story of Sarah if she didn't hear that already. I'm sure that was funny. All right, guys, that is it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. And be sure to like the video, share it with your friends, and subscribe. I'll catch you next time.